You're on stage. You're muted, but Courtney, thank you for
Okay.
being here. Thank you so much. Courtney, take us to the promised land.
All right, you guys, welcome to our Now Nation huddle. If you're not muted, I'm going to ask you to mute because we've got a lot of people on this call today, and you guys are in for a treat. Just a reminder, I'm Courtney Twist. I'm one of the co-founders of Now Nation, and we have kind of switched up the format for our weekly huddles, we call them. It's a basketball theme, and every week is called a quarter. Woo-hoo! That's focused on a key area of growth. So the first quarter of the month, which was last week, was 10.
Sacan el...
Oh,
And make sure you mute yourself, folks. Everybody that's unmuted, we can hear ya.
this
Sorry,
week,
Courtney.
this week we're on lead generation, and I can't wait for Randy and I to introduce our guest for today because you're in for a treat. Next week or next quarter is our systems and processes. Fourth quarter is client presentation and engagement. And if there's a fifth week, we call that overtime, where we bring in some surprise or bigwig or maybe talk about attraction. So with that being said, I'm actually going to turn it over to Randy to introduce our guest, Jay Kinder, today. They've got some really great things they're going to go over that we get to take advantage of for being in Randy's organization and the collaboration that we have with Jay and the Honey Badgers.
Courtney, thank you so much. I appreciate the intro and I appreciate the leaders that put this together, right? This is not about me. This is about you, the leaders that are stepping up in this organization, and many of them are on the call right now. We appreciate you. And, the leaders are pouring into each and everybody that's on this call today. We're at 73 and counting. They're still coming into the waiting room. We're going to be letting them in. I bet you we hit 100 people on this call. But here's what's special about this. A year ago, this call would not be able to take place. A year ago, this call would not happen because EXP was not aligned with the co-sponsorship opportunity, and people didn't understand that. So we're going to break that down a little bit. But remember to go to my school community, SKOOL. We have a whole co-sponsor thing there with all the videos, all the background, all the public stuff from EXP, so you can understand what that looks like if you have questions. But today, what we're going to do is something special. I invited a buddy of mine. Super proud to partner with this guy. This is only possible because of co-sponsorship and a recent partnership that Jay and I did, so my whole organization could effectively become a honey badger as well. And so Mr. Jay Kinder, he's one of the premier leaders, builders, growers in the whole company. And his honey badger organization was like going to the moon. He's got 8, 9, 10,000. Their goal is 100,000 agents by 2027. That's a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. It makes me sweat. But you can only do that through others, and that's where Jay's brilliant. He opened this up to some of the key leaders in EXP, and through that proximity of that relationship, I paid to get to play, right? I paid to be in Jay Kinder's system, which I'm happy to do so. But because of that, it exposes you guys to the opportunity to have the same exact thing. And you guys are going to get it for free. We're going to talk about that today. But with no further ado, you didn't come to see me. As pretty as Courtney is, you probably came to see her. You didn't come to see me. I have a face for radio, but with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jay Kinder. Thank you for being here.
What's up, Randy? Hey, man, I super appreciate you. I love you. And I'm super excited to get to present to this organization. You guys are leaders in this company, leaders in your marketplaces. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, we all love EXP and what it's provided. This whole opportunity is life changing. And I'll kind of tell you guys a little bit of backstory. And I just want to say, it wouldn't be possible if Randy wasn't making this investment. It could, and you'll understand why, because what we're doing is going to blow your mind. I really believe you're gonna be jaw to the floor. And what we're going to do to help you guys, not just with your own business, and I'll talk about more about that here shortly, but also as a way to get free. And this is something I think in the back of my mind when I got into real estate almost 30 years ago. I did not think about what was my exit strategy and how was I going to start making passive income. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad probably when I was 19 or 20. How many of you have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, by the way? And so me being as old as I am and being in the business as long as I have, I thought, well, I'm going to buy all this real estate and I'm going to get financially free. That's what the book says. One thing that's not in that book is a chapter about '07 and '08. And so in '07, how many of you were in this business or in this industry in '07, '08? Okay, so we could all share war stories and the scars from going through that. Like, if you think now is bad, like it right now feels like it's a cakewalk compared to '07 and '08. It was a really, really tough time. I had 28 rental properties. And I ended up having to write checks to all of them. And I thought I was 10 years into my, getting financially free. Next thing you know, you're writing checks to your rental properties. Everything that I was doing at the time went backwards or to zero. I'll never forget this in '08. It was right when I met my wife, Amber, and I was sitting in bed, and I was like an ostrich with my head in the sand. I didn't want to look at the numbers and how bad it was. And this is at the time when I was selling 400 or 500 homes a year. I had all these rental properties. I had developments. I had new construction. I was doing everything in the real estate vertical, and I got punched right in the mouth, and went back to zero. I added it all up. I was $639 or $41,000 in debt. I was completely leveraged, and there was what I thought that was going to get me financially free, which I think what all of our goals should be, is to have enough money that comes in every month so that you can do whatever you want to do with your time. Does everybody have that goal? Because I chased transactions for most of my life. I didn't know any better. So I was like, well, how many, Coldwell Banker used to give out awards for, you could fog a mirror and get an award. Like okay, well, you do this many units and then you get this award and this award. So I was like, okay, well, I want to do more units. Well, what most people don't know is when I was selling 500 homes a year, it was the most miserable I ever was because I didn't get more of my time back. I was working more evenings, more weekends, more of my success, more time on stage. Everybody thought, you're winning at the highest level. And I was the most miserable I'd ever been. And so the goal is not just to do more deals. And I'm going to show you how to do more deals. But there's an opportunity here in this company for you to get financially free. And we're going to also talk about how this is going to help you do that too. And so I lived in Puerto Rico for almost 4 years. And when I was moving back, but this is before co-sponsor had even been announced. And I'll tell you all a story probably nobody knows. Randy, you probably don't even know the story. So before I came to EXP, Mike Reese and I got into real estate, had a little, tried doing it the hard way. I struggled and paid everybody. There was nobody that didn't get my money. And that's what it took. And I think for most of you probably had a similar experience. Like when you get into real estate, I actually have a plaque. I'm like Carrot Top. I have props. Hang on. So I think they should give you a plaque like this that says, congratulations, you're licensed, now figure it out. Like, that's what it feels like, right? So, like, there's nobody gives you a plan. Nobody tells you, how to get customers. Nothing that you learn on that test is what you get licensed. You're like, hey, where'd everybody go? I thought I was going to get some help around here. It's up to you, right? And so you feel very much like that. That's how I felt. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Went to this guy, paid him. I paid Mike Ferry. In 1998, I paid Mike Ferry. This is funny. I paid Mike Ferry, went to the coaching, super uncomfortable. I'm jumping up and down and I'm yelling scripts and stuff. And I'm like, is this what it is? Like, this is okay. This is what it is. This is prospecting. This is the only way. And if any of you have been to Mike Ferry, it's pretty intense. And at the end, again, on my credit card that barely had any room on it, I bought some tapes. That's how long ago this was. Tapes. I bought the tapes. One was a red tape. One was a green tape. You're supposed to listen to one when you're driving around, the other one while you're sleeping. Okay. So and it was good stuff. Like I learned a lot. None of the things that I did invest in, I always learned something and got something from it. It was some little thing that helped me a little bit to keep me going, But I was like, God dang, this is hard. Like Buffini's telling you buy referral only. Proctor was teaching direct response marketing, prospecting by Ferry. I tried all of those things. I'm like, man, and I finally did have some success. And as my business started to grow, a fortunate thing happened to me. Michael Reese, who's a friend of mine from Lawton, Oklahoma, saw me at the lake one day, and I had just bought like a 35-foot fountain, actually, to be transparent. It was a 35-foot fountain. He saw me on the boat. He's like, I know that guy. Gets on the boat, starts talking about real estate. He said, I'm coming to see you. And I said, okay, come up here and see me. I'll share anything I'm doing. He saw that I was, pretty successful. He'd heard some stories that I was doing well. He lived in Dallas. And he asked me, he's like, man, what did you do? And I was like, everything. Like, I don't know how I got here. Like, if you want me to replay how I got here, you don't want to go the same way I went, because there was no, you've all seen the graph. Like, there's no straight path to success, right? Well, certainly wasn't for me either. Well, before Mike got licensed, he came down to my office. I'm using a website that's generating 300 leads a month. I'm like, dude, you need to get this website. And he's like, oh, all right. So before Mike was even licensed, he was lead generating and getting leads from the best source that I had, going through all the different things I'd ever tried. The one thing I told him to do is the one thing that was working for me at the time. And so Mike ends up building his business. We talked every day. Mike is one of those people, like, he's on you like a rat on a Cheeto. Like, he's every day calling me. And I'm like, no, man, don't do that next. Do this. No, don't hire that person. Do this. Don't compensate him this way. Do it this way. And Mike builds his business to like $1 million in GCI in 3 years. And it had taken me 6 years to do it. I was like, man, like, but again, if you'd asked me what I'd done to be successful, I couldn't have told you. But step by step along the way, I could help him navigate the waters. And so from that point, we were like, man, this really is a lot easier when you have some help and there's a plan and a process and the right things in the right order. And that's how we got into coaching. And so we coached agents all across the country. I had a media company that did radio and TV. A lot of the top agents around the country, if the number one agent in many of the markets, came through our coaching, or we would do media for them and do like radio and TV ads and endorsements and stuff like that. And so I had helped a lot of agents over a long period of time that were just hungry enough, and you got to be a little bit crazy in this business to be successful, that they're trying to figure it out and help them to build successful businesses. Well, as we got through coaching, we built that company up to around $10 million a year in revenue. And at the time, I would say, man, these agents, like, some of them go back and implement, and they get to the results. And then some of them struggle right there at implementation. Like, the things that need to be implemented, there's a million things we do in our businesses. We're busy with clients. We're doing paperwork. We're all of these things. Like, what are the dollar productive activities and what things need to come off your plate? And then you got to learn how to hire people. How many of you have hired somebody and been like, I'm not good at that. This is not what I'm good at. Have you ever made a bad hire? Yeah, nobody gives you a playbook. So your first hire is usually not a really good one, but even if they can just fog a mirror, you can give them a lot of stuff to do that'll get it off your plate. But at some certain point, you're like, man, I'm just going to have to do it all myself because I suck at hiring people. And now you got to learn how to hire, learn how to lead people, learn all of these levels that you have to get through, and it truly is who you have to become in order to get to your goals. Like, at every stage, if there's something you don't have in your life, it's something you haven't learned yet. And so as we were building this coaching company, we determined that, man, there's things that we could probably do for them that's better than just teaching them how to do it. And I call this moving down the value chain. So it's like, as we discover that real estate agents would struggle with things, we'd say, hey, what if we could just do that for them? That would be better. So let's just create a way to do it for them. And so we created the National Association of Expert Advisors, which was, rather than you build your own differentiated value proposition, listing presentation, buyer presentation, training for yourself, for your agents, for your team, we built all that, and we called it the National Association of Expert Advisors, because anybody from any company could use that. We could certify them as a certified home selling advisor. You had a presentation, a value proposition. By the way, like, in real estate, no company gives you a listing presentation with a differentiated value proposition on why someone should list with you versus anyone else. Does everybody know that, right? So we all of you, I don't know what process y'all went through to figure that out, but like, you can't just go out and it's not true. You can actually be, if you're good enough with people, you can win a listing on just being a good connector. But if you go to compete against a competitor to win a listing, you have to have a good value proposition on why someone should hire you. And so as you start marketing and spending money and stuff like that, you have to have a presentation. So we created all of that. And we got a little further down there. It's like, you know what? They don't like making calls. They pretty much don't like doing any of this stuff, right? Like, they won't make the calls. They won't do all these things. So right before we moved to EXP, Mike and I had this bright idea. Probably some drinking was involved at this time. We said we should open a brokerage, and we should just partner with agents, and we should do everything for them. Like, just keep them where they are face to face with clients. We actually have a podcast. If you go look up a podcast called Face to Face, probably some of the best content I've ever created, Mike and I. And it was about where the most money being made in real estate is when you're face to face with a client. And we all kind of know that, but there's most of our day is not spent with clients, right? We're spent doing all these other things. And so that company, what we did is we would take an agent in a marketplace and we would geographically look at, okay, this is your territory and we're going to do all of your marketing. We're going to generate all of the opportunities. We're going to make all the calls. We're going to build all the follow-up sequences. We're going to do all of that. We're going to build your brand. It's all, because it wasn't about us. It wasn't, we were teams that had our own, it was like Michael Reese, home selling team, the Jay Kinder home selling team. This brokerage was Expert Advisor Home Services, and it was about building your brand, not ours. So that was because we weren't in the business. We were trying to help people build their own businesses. And we did that, and we would take an agent doing 10 to 15 deals, and we take them to 70 deals in a year. And they would pay us, this true story, they would pay us $7,500 to join our brokerage, and then 50-50 split, okay? So that was the deal. And we had a waiting line of people that wanted territories. And it's because we would keep them in the highest dollar productive activity. And so I use this as an example, it'll just for some color. And I think it's a funny story. So my dentist, I had a dentist, Dr. Bridges, and this is in Lawton, Oklahoma. And when you go in there, he's really loud, super loud. And his dentist office, you've been in all of us have been to dentist office. There are a lot of them are pretty much the same, I think. It's like a shotgun hallway. There's usually 2 entrances in there, and then there's the little bed thing that you sit on, right? Well, this particular office, he had those ceilings that didn't go all the way, the walls didn't go all the way to the ceiling, so you could hear everything. Well, Dr. Bridges you could hear him coming down the hall, and he'd be like, "Hey man, how's the family?" Blah blah blah. You could hear him, and he would talk for about 10 seconds, building a little rapport with you before he's going. Next thing you know, his hands are in your mouth. And then boom, he's off to the next one, and then takes the gloves off, put the new gloves on, next one. And the whole time you're waiting because you're in a dentist's office, you're like, I hate this. That whole process of just waiting for them to drill on you is never fun. But I remember he was super efficient. He makes money. Dentists make money when their hands are in someone's mouth. That's when they make the most money. He wasn't setting up the tools. He wasn't figuring out if you were going to show up to the appointment. He wasn't doing any of those things. He was just boom, hands in mouth, boom, hands in mouth, boom, hands in mouth. And so he was very wealthy. In my hometown, he was one of the richest people I knew. And so that same principle applies in real estate. When you're face to face with clients, that's your hands in mouth. That's where you make the most money. And so all of this other figuring it out part is where we spend most of our time. We're spending all our time trying to figure it out. And then what happens is the Zillows of the world come along and say, yeah, well, we already figured it out. Would you like some of our leads? Give me 41%, right? And so my 50% deal doesn't look so bad right now compared to Zillow just giving you one lead and you have to pay them 41%. But at the time, that's why we came to EXP. We're like, man, at the end of the year, no matter what, the agent being taxed you don't like it. And I didn't like the conversation of, man, we got to talk about split. Every time, I'm like, man, I took you from 15 deals to 70. Can we not why do we want to talk about split? But we saw that was probably not the right mechanism. But the reason I share that story is what we're doing today is very, very similar to what we have already done before. And so when I was living in Puerto Rico for 4 years, and I'm super blessed, guys. Like I've been ups and downs in life and gone through a lot, and I put it in the work or whatever. But 4 years in Puerto Rico, and I played a lot of golf. I didn't get any better. It's so I got to commend Randy. He's good at golf. I'm still terrible, and so I was like, I've got to do something. I'm not going to be a professional golfer, and I'm probably not going to ever get just so good that I really enjoy playing it. And I was scared to do this. Like I knew I could do it, but I was scared to do it. But when we joined 8 years ago, the whole idea was, if we could just add more value to anybody that joined EXP, we could probably attract more agents. That was the philosophy, and it worked. We recruited almost 10,000 agents to EXP. A lot of that was based on what I call high perceived value. High perceived value means, oh, that sounds really good. High actual value is, oh my God, that got results. And there's a big difference in that. And people that sell stuff are really good at building up high perceived value. And so, you could join our Monday call, our Tuesday call. We call it the Honey Badger Nation. That was an accident, by the way. Honey Badger was an award. This is a true story. Honey Badger came from the stupid video that we've all probably seen. If you haven't, you got to Google it. But there's somebody that's just watching a honey badger, nature video and just commenting on it. It's like, oh my god, but it's funny. Well, we played that video at one of our events. Years and years and years ago. Then we decided to make an award that was called the Honey Badger Award. And the reason that it became like the most coveted award wasn't because it was a honey badger, it was because nobody knew who was going to win that one. Everybody kind of knew in the room who had the most production or who had the most volume or whatever. But they never knew who was going to win that one. But that was the most coveted award. Well, when me and Al and Mike had joined, there was no there was no hub or any of the workplace. None of that stuff existed yet. So we're like, we need to create a community. So we created it. So me and Al were like, what are we gonna call it? I was like, I don't know. Let's call it Honey Badger Nation. By EXP Realty or whatever. And so we'll change it later or whatever. We didn't know what to call it, and so we named it that. Well, come to find out, people started getting tattoos of honey badgers, and it kind of, as a spirit animal, honey badger kind of just became it became a thing, not really necessarily on purpose. So but that's how that all came about. And so we built this community by just trying to focus on adding value. I learned this from one of my mentors, is Jay Abraham. If you haven't ever read anything or studied that guy, he's absolutely changed my life. But he talks about this strategy of preeminence. And the strategy of preeminence is, no matter who you come in contact with in your life, you try to add as much value as you possibly can, no matter who it is. So not just because you might benefit, but in every person you come in contact with, if they needed, if you knew someone, if you were in the desert and someone should drink a full 8 ounces of water, you wouldn't give them half, you'd give them a full 8 ounces of water. And that was his philosophy. And I was like, I started living that, and it changed everything in my life. And I challenge everybody to look up strategy of preeminence and just study it a little bit and apply that if you haven't applied it to your world. If you look at every single person, not as a transaction or a potential buyer or sell or a lender that can help pay for leads, or look at what are they trying to do? How can I add the most value to their life? And genuinely try to do that, your entire life will change. It's unbelievable. It's so simple, but it's just truly living from a place of value. And when we joined EXP, that was our goal. It's like, all right, we can do all these things and add a ton of value, but you still had to go do the work. And so when I was coming back, I was coming back from Puerto Rico. I had just and I'm going to say this number because it's going to sound crazy. I know it's going to sound crazy, but you have to understand the opportunity is this kind of big. Okay. In the 8 years I've been here, I've made over $20 million in revenue share. 20 million. And it's not because of anything that I did. It's because I got a handful of people that got a handful of people that got a handful of people. And that's the opportunity that's in front of us. If you want to get $2,000 a month in passive income from real estate, I can tell you, I invested $500,000 into an apartment complex. I was on the call this morning. On the call this morning, they let us know that the competitor right across the street, downtown Fort Worth, Class A, and this one's mildly profitable, not super profitable. It's not costing me money, but it's not going to get me financially free. $500,000 pays $3,333 a month. How hard do you have to work? How many houses do you have to sell in order to create enough money to invest $500,000? So let's say you make $1 million selling real estate. And you invest it in, because most all of I don't know anybody that doesn't start with the passive income goal being investing in real estate. Is that how much most of you, like, at some point you're buying real estate, investing in real estate, and that's going to be the way you get financially free? Is that pretty much what everybody knows on the call? Like, there's some other ways you can get passive income. I don't know very many people that have it. Okay, so like even rich people, and I lived with a lot of rich people down there, and not very many people have a lot of passive income coming from anything outside of real estate. It's all I knew, so I invested in all that. Went 10 years, gave it all back. Didn't have any passive income there. That didn't work. That strategy didn't work for me. Well, I reinvested again in this apartment complex. And that $3,333 a month, I was like, I'm over here making sometimes $400,000 a month. I didn't have to put any capital in, and it's geometrically growing, and it's passive for the most part. I'd say it's leveraged more than completely passive. And I was like, this is the biggest opportunity most people will ever see in a generation. And that's what we're all sitting here. We're all sitting here going out doing more transactions. but that's how big this opportunity is in front of us, and the window is wide open. And so this first 8 years, and Randy and I went through it. If you were here, you did too. There was a time when people didn't know what EXP was. They didn't know what revenue share was. They didn't know really, the stock was just like a nice to have. And now everybody has it. And so we went through this season at EXP where we were the only game in town, and it wasn't perfect. Okay. When I say it wasn't perfect, it was not perfect. There was problems and challenges. It took 2 weeks to onboard someone. Like, it was not easy to get someone to buy in, but because we were the only game in town, people would come for the opportunity. And that felt like we lost a little bit of that. It's certainly when we started but we had this tailwind during these times where it wasn't perfect. And that was extremely important as a first mover advantage for this company. We grew while we probably shouldn't have been growing, and just keeping the wheels between the ditches up to 70,000 agents was because we really didn't have much competition. Now we have a lot of competition. The competitors came and they were clawing at us, taking agents from us. The grass is greener over here. All these things are happening. And it felt like we survived that, by the way. We have 9.2 agents a day that come back to EXP from these other companies. And they're not better. Grass isn't greener. In fact, there's some of them don't have any grass at all. And they sound really good. And you go over there hoping that this is your big deal and you're going to be the next Brent Gove. That was what their pitch was. Their pitch was, you can come over here and be the next Brent Gove. Nobody's gone over there and been the next Brent Gove. So, but these companies now, in the past 2 or 3 years, I'm just going to catch you up today, and then we're going to talk about the opportunity. Okay. It's important that you understand, like, now is the time. These companies are hitting headwinds, losing agents like crazy. They're not profitable. They all borrowed money. Glenn didn't. And so we're a profitable company. These companies they don't even have a differentiated value proposition. They are just saying we're the next EXP. And you go over there and they've got to make a profit because they've got a board that they got to answer to. And it's not, and now they're losing agents and they're all coming back to EXP. And that's what we were experiencing as I'm coming home on this flight from Puerto Rico, moving back to Texas. I'm like, if I built back what I'd built before, this would be the time to do it. And so again, scared to do it, like totally scared to do this. That's how I knew I should do it. I was like, man, you're just being lazy. And so I said, if I built back this team of really the top people that I have that can help you implement things in your business, I can help any agent win. And I knew that was a calling card for the biggest challenges I think most of us face. I think most of you you're tired of being taxed by Zillow that can tell you, you got to use our mortgage company and take a 41%. Or every fly-by-night company that pops up, which it's only going to get worse because of AI. Everybody thinks they know how to do lead generation or this, that, or the other, and they want to sell it to you. Or an influencer wants to sell you a course, and you should become a YouTube, blah, 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 blah. There's a ton of that stuff out there. And it's always been that way, and the process is you buy it and try it, buy it, try it, buy it, try it. Hopefully something works. But it's very frustrating. And so if you feel me on that, that's a problem that I had the chops to solve. And so I assembled a world-class team of experts that at scale I can do this only because of AI, and I just got lucky with the timing on this. But I knew that if I could help you close 2 to 3 deals a month consistently, that's a reason enough for someone to leave where they're at and come over here, because that's what we wake up every day trying to figure out. How many of you, just show hands, I won't be able to see you all, but by show of hands, if I helped you close 2 to 3 deals a month consistently outside of your normal business, that would solve most of your woes as it goes with your real estate business right now. Is it right? And so like that is the core problem in this industry. And here's the reason why. Most of us, if you've been doing this a long time, you have repeat business, you have referral, you have your sphere of influence, and that's been enough. And the last 3 years, because the market's been down, that probably hasn't been enough. And the only option you have is outside of that is to turn a stranger into a customer. And there's only a handful of ways to do it. There's quite a few ways to do that, actually, but there's a million ways probably to do it. But the result is going to be if I can increase your conversations per day with people who want to buy and sell in the next 90 days and are open to doing business with you, you will sell more real estate. Does everybody fundamentally agree with that? Now how I was taught was do open houses every Sunday. Well, why do I do an open house? So I can maybe meet somebody who wants to buy or sell in the next 90 days and is open to doing business with me, right? So this principle of conversations is the lever that leads to more sales. Open houses is just not a good strategy. An even worse strategy is knocking doors. I don't know how many doors. If you've knocked doors, you're an animal. I'm gonna make your life a lot easier today for sure. But I never knock doors. But I know some people that have. And I don't know how many doors you got to knock to find somebody that wants to buy or sell and is open to doing business with you. But it's not very efficient. I can guarantee you that. Prospecting. I did it. Didn't like it, but I did it. I did it because it worked. And you can call FSBOs and expireds. And, some of you will do it some days and then other days you won't. I was the same way. I didn't do it every day. I wasn't a machine. You know what I'm saying? Like I did it on the days that I felt like doing it, like most people. And so, again, I can't take an agent and be like, yep, hey, here's what we're doing, y'all. We're going to do this workout, and it's really hard. Is there a better way, an easier way? Yeah, okay. Well, lead generation is really, if you master lead generation, which you're not going to have to master it, I'm going to do it for you. But if we can generate leads at a low enough cost, and this is a skill set that I've learned over 10,000, probably more than 10,000 hours of beating on a craft. It's a skill set that we've learned how to do. And what we're doing that's different, and AI made this completely a different game. So in any marketplace that you guys are in, there's people that are moving right now. Now, we all know this, but who are they? And this is where it starts to get interesting. Zillow doesn't say, hey, who's actually motivated? Who's a motivated buyer and who's a motivated seller? And let's go market to them and find those people and bring them to you as a lead. They don't. They just random, whoever filled out a form and is looking at houses on Zillow, that's your lead. This is a way that in your market, there's probably an area that's hotter than others. There's probably a price point that's hotter than others. There's probably a sweet spot. And there is in every marketplace, whether the market's up or down. I was talking to a friend of mine here in Frisco, Alex Piak, who he's actively selling. He's like, man, dude, the days on the market, 71 days. I'm like, bro, I grew up in a market where the average was never under 120 days. Man, you took 3 listings and one of them would sell. And so like it's bad, but it's not. There's home selling, and at this point, the people you want to work with are the ones that are highly motivated, right? Does anybody want to work with people that aren't motivated? No, but most people don't ask that question when they're looking at how am I generating leads for my business? How are we getting motivated people? How do we get a better qualified lead is one of the main focuses that we focus on. And so I'll give you an example of how we do this. So again, I'm going to show you guys we're going to do this for you in your business, and there's a way that you're going to be able to get this for free. So everything I'm about to tell you, there's going to be a way for you to get this free. It's going to require you do one thing that is also going to get you paid forever. So we'll talk more about that here in a second, but you're going to love this. So no matter what marketplace you're in, there are people that are moving, they're buying and selling. I live in Frisco, Texas. Where I live is Plano, Frisco, McKinney, Little Elm, The Colony, Prosper. They're all 10 minutes from my front door. I would sell in any of those markets, but when you run this through AI, it says 750,000 Frisco new construction with 3.9% financing incentives offered by the builder is the ad you should run, and that's where the most volume of search is. And then we say, okay, well, who's actually buying these homes? And this is where it gets interesting. And these will be things that you know, because this is going to be custom for you in your market. The things that we know, I knew people were moving to Texas. Everybody knows that, right? But people leaving California, moving to Texas, getting jobs in Texas, all these businesses moving here. So the number one avatar that's searching for this exact product is somebody leaving California, Washington, or Oregon. They're 46 years old. They've got kids of this age bracket, and they've got these hopes, fears, concerns, desires about moving to Texas. They've got a technology job now at Toyota World Headquarters, which is in Plano, or Dr. Pepper Keurig, which is also in Plano. 2 largest employers, yeah, I knew that. People leaving here, tech jobs made sense. All of that made sense. But like when you understand that's who you're marketing to, you can talk differently to them, and it's like I told y'all I'm like Carrot Top. I'm not joking. Hey, Randy, interrupt me at any point if you want. I'll just keep talking.
Dude, I think you're doing great.
Okay, man,
show us that.
Oh yeah, the tuning fork, right? So what you want to do in marketing is you want to be like, You want someone to go, oh my God, that's for me. That's all you want. If you can get that message to match their situation, that is the tuning fork. And so, for instance, and the other avatar for me in Frisco, and I didn't know this, but moving out of the Colony in Carrollton, which are a little bit older communities south of me, wanting to get their kids in Frisco school district. That made sense to me. I moved here for the school district. That's why we moved here. But that's somebody that has a house to sell, and what are they all sitting on? 3% interest rate. They don't want to go pay 6% or more. And so we got those people that have been sitting on the sidelines. But if they get marketed a property that's 3.9% financing incentives that they didn't even know existed, that is a real listing opportunity and a buyer opportunity. Would everybody agree with that? Is a good message to that market? Yeah. Does that make sense? And in your market, I promise you, there's going to be an angle like this, and we're going to use AI to find it. And so, we were pretty good at figuring this stuff out. We were really good at it, actually. AI is way better. AI never misses, and so we can generate these types of leads at $3 to $5 a lead. I don't care what market you're in, and I don't care what your budget is, as many as you want. So that's an important thing, because with the technology today. So now I know this avatar that we're looking for. So now we're going to create the marketing around speaking directly to that, targeting these specific buyers and sellers. And oftentimes this is the best listing tool at the lowest cost lead that I can generate you for a listing. So you get a listing and a buy, and they go buy something, that's even better. You get 2 deals. And so that's, 2 deals a month is, most of your average sale price. You guys tell me if it's different. Just do your own math, right? If it's $10,000 a deal, that's
400,000, 2.5%.
There you go. I use 2.8%. We can show you how to get paid more on every deal too, but that's a whole nother lesson. But whatever the math is, let's just use $10,000 for an example. 2 deals a month is $240,000 a year. That's almost $250,000. That is a big deal. And so we need a pillar in your business that does that. And the repeat referral is great, but you never know when it's going to happen, and it's not a lever you can hit and make happen. Does everybody understand? Agree with that?
Well, also when the market comes down, that lever doesn't work anymore. There's no way to squeeze more out of that database, right? So It's always, you have to have this funnel of new stuff coming in. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah, it's just an important, you're building an audience of relationships ultimately, because you want to build relationships. You can do networking and do all kinds of things to create more relationships and maybe get more referrals, but at the end of the day, 90 days from now, you're not going to be able to tell me where your next deal's coming from, and you'll feel that in your business, right? And so this is a way to where there's predictability, where you don't have to wake up every day thinking, I don't really know where my next deal is coming from, because I got 3 people coming in this week. I got these 2 people I'm meeting with that next week, and I've got 5 more that I feel really good about that are this month. When you have that in your business, man, all of this stress goes away of what should I be doing, and trying all these things and everything else. And so that's what I want to build for you. I want to build for you. We're going to build an oil well that pumps oil. What I learned, and you maybe have experienced, was that I was hand cranking my oil, hand crank, and then I would see a shiny object. I'd be like, oh, look at that. And then I'd stop and I'd go over there and try something new. And then this thing that I was doing stopped working while I wasn't working it. And so we want to build a machine that pumps oil consistently. So we're going to drill this thing down to bedrock. And so what my team's going to do is we're going to help identify the target market, where you want to. It's really based on where you want to do business, and then let AI tell us if that is the right price point and where the sweet spot is. And so you'll give us a few cities, we'll figure that out, and then we're gonna target the specific people that we know are most likely to move. We're going to give you a whole buyer profile on all that, because you're going to use that in content. Another cool thing that we do for you that maybe some of you struggle with, I do. If I created, think about it this way, let me give you the math, okay? So this is what I've known in helping all these agents and getting them to double and double and double their business. If I get you 100 leads and you speak to 30 of them, you're going to set 5 to 7 appointments, and you're going to sell 1 to 2 houses. Does that math at least make sense? That seems plausible, right? If you're really good and you're really good with people, most of you, by the way, I think most everybody on this call are probably really good with people. If I gave you a buyer or seller, you're really good at that point. That's what you got in this business to do, right? And so if we can just get you more of doing what you love and what you're good at, you'll sell plenty of houses. And so the goal is to get you into enough conversations with people that actually want to buy and sell that we get to the 1 or 2 sales. And so at 100 leads, and with what we're going to do, whether you use Lofty or use Bolt Trail, both of those two systems, we're going to build the back end infrastructure of communication to bubble up these conversations. And either I was not an expert at this, and most agents aren't. But what text should go out? When should it go out? How often? What should it say? You could send one text that gets a 10x better reply than another text. Everybody understand that? Like, you can send a text and get no reply, or you could send a text that gets 10 people to reply, right? And so all of that testing over years and years, and be like, oh, hang on to that one. That worked. Say that. That's a good one. It's like an email. You open it. Sometimes you get an email and you're like, okay, what is that? Is that for me? Let me open that. Oh, they got me with a headline, right? So the messaging is important. And so rather than you guys have to figure all that out, we're just going to build into your platform the best practices that we know work, and get us to a 30% contact rate. So 100 leads is not important. 30 conversations is. And so,
which is a big number. I mean, that's twice or three times the number that Tom Ferry teaches, basically.
Yep.
Because they don't have the systems and stuff you do.
Right. 100%.
Let me ask you a question. So I came in the system about a couple months ago to vet you, right? I said, okay, I'm willing to pay. If this is going to help my people, I need to vet it. So I actually turned it on in my Facebook. I had you guys set up the leads. I was blown away that I immediately got 117 leads in 30 days. It was under $3, just like you promised. And then, we started seeing the AI start having these conversations. I think that's the key, is you have a whole team around you that's doing this. And I just want the people to understand that you guys actually logged into my Facebook. My Facebook was locked up. I was in Facebook jail. They fixed that. I didn't know how. And then they got my Facebook working. Then they optimized my ads. And then I went in there knowing a lot and started changing the pictures and doing shit to it. And guess what? I broke it because you guys had this understanding of what picture drives the most traffic and what does this. So your son Braden that runs all that goes, Bird, you changed the picture. You changed the ad. Now this is not showing up on Instagram. Don't mess with my stuff. And I go, okay, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it, because I've spent thousands trying to figure out this Facebook ads thing. Yeah. And I think I got it, and I'm just writing checks, and I don't understand it. You guys are watching the algorithm, watching the numbers, and you have a team that's doing all this.
Yeah. That's super important.
How could you do this, Jay? This is too good to be true. How could you do this and not charge anything for it? That doesn't compute.
Well, I mean, obviously, when I was on that plane thinking about it, I'm like, I'm over here making $300,000-$400,000 a month in revenue share. The reason that I would do this is if I believed I could take it to 100,000 agents. And so the question that I asked myself is, what would I have to do? How much value would I have to create for us to get to 100,000 agents? Not me personally recruiting them, but every person that you talk to goes, holy crap, y'all do that for your agents? Yeah, I'd love to know more. Like, if we could create something like this and do this at scale, I believe that we could recruit any agent from any company infinitely easier, and we'll get into that in a second. So I want to give the other two pieces that we do. So now we got leads that you're going to sell. You're going to be busy and sell houses just from what we've talked about. Like that, fundamentally at a super low cost. If you can close even one deal a month on a $300 ad spend, which is what we recommend, $10 a day. That's $3 a lead, $3 to $5, 75 to 100 leads. You're going to get to a deal a month. That's $300 in trade for 10 grand. So the return on investment is better than any investment there is. In real estate, it's a great business because you don't have to buy a car, put it on your lot, sell it for more than you paid for it. In every other business, you do that. And so in real estate, it's our time, effort, and energy. So, you go do a deal, you get to keep all that money. And so that's a really good return on investment. I think everybody knows that. But and so now, but we don't stop there. This is where most people would stop and think they're killing it. We're going to go drill down to bedrock. And so if you talk to 30 of those people, that means that 70 of those people you didn't talk to. And we've all had this happen. You call a lead that you hadn't spoke to, and it's been in the system for 3 weeks or a month or whatever. And they're like, yeah, no, man, I didn't fill nothing out, man. So I must have got hacked. Like, I didn't fill out no form, right? So why did they do that? Well, maybe they didn't, but most likely not the case. They probably did, and they probably are maybe looking to buy or sell, but they don't know you. They don't have any trust. They don't even know who you're calling, how you got there. They don't know. They don't remember. And so how do we actually, if they knew you were great at what you do, which you are, if they knew that, they would talk to you, right? They just don't know that. So we know who we're looking for, and we know out of that 100 leads that the most likely person that's going to buy or sell is this characteristic, these traits. Mm-hmm. This is this is what their hopes, fears, concerns, desires are. That we can now create content that is, like a tuning fork to what it is they're doing. And so for that couple that has kids that are of the age they want to get in Frisco schools, and if they got a content piece that popped up in this follow-up sequence that said the top 3 things you should know before you ever put your kids in Frisco school district, they are clicking on that. They're going to be like, oh my God, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like, right? So now they've watched the video. Now, this is what 90 days ago, what I would tell you is we would have AI create this script and we would be like, go shoot these 3 videos. And I can tell you what happens. You'll get really busy, and then you're going to be like, yeah, no, today's not a good hair day. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. And then next week happens. I'm the same way. I hate doing the videos, and so I don't do them, literally. And so we were never getting you to do this because we got 70 people this month, and then next month it'll be 70 people, and the next month it'll be 70 people that don't know, like, and trust you, but there's gold in their hills, man. Like, there's people that are going to buy or sell. They just never spoke to you, and we never broke through and got a response from. If they watch a video from that's you talking about exactly what they're trying to do, positioning as you as the go-to expert for exactly what that thing is, they are way more likely to respond immediately, respond to the next text, respond to the next email, or just pick up the phone and call you when they get to town. And so I'm trying to optimize. Like we're not just going to say those 70 didn't reply. Forget them. You know, I think as real estate agents, we just get busy and we never call them, and we're just like, okay, I'm tired of this. Like, you know, give me a new one that does respond. But in the background, the system is going to be always working to try to bubble up that conversation. And so this is just optimization. It's where most people don't go to. They don't spend the time on that because they think it's not worth the time. And so now you're in month 3, someone's going to pop up out of nowhere and buy something or list something with you, and you're going to go, holy crap, that I didn't do that. That, you know, the system did it for you. So this is very much about automation and leveraging technology to solve some of these problems for you. So I know next quarter is systems and processes, but this is a system and a process and a machine that's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It's not just lead generation. A lot, you know, some of this stuff probably sounds a little bit familiar. You're like, yeah, I've heard this before. But the whole system is everything. It's from front to end done for you, so you don't have to do anything. And that's that. If you had to go watch a bunch of videos and go build some stuff, then we failed. And so that the whole goal is to implement this all for you. The last piece of this is branding. I'm a big proponent that you're the brand. There's like a Jay-Z quote where Jay-Z in one of his songs says, I'm not a businessman, I am the business man. Right? I love that quote. Like, that's so great. In real estate, that's the case. And the reason for that is real estate agents control the customer experience. The brand doesn't. Like, nobody from Remax reaches out to a client and makes sure they're happy at the listing or at the sale. You do. That's it. And either you do a good job and they come back to you, or you do a bad job and they don't come back to you, and they may not even come back to the company. But you own the customer experience. So it's your brand that matters. So Holly on my team is a brand expert. So I don't know if you've had your YouTube, Instagram, and your look and feel and your color palette and all of that stuff done for you in your business. But if you haven't, my team's going to do that for you. We're going to do an implementation audit and implement this across all your platforms. Make sure that your AI, what's the dang? I never can't think of the word AI, optimized for AI, so that AI is finding you as that local expert. Because some of you guys are going to tell me, you know, we're going to go after the sweet spot in the market, but you might tell me like your heart is in helping single moms, or your heart is in, man, I really want to help veterans, or whatever. And so we're going to build your brand around who you want to attract to your business. But we're going to go after the now money so that we can have money is never a problem. Okay. Because you won't be able to focus on your vision and your purpose and your passion if you're wondering where your next deal's coming from. So we're going to solve that first, then do brand and nail that piece for you. And then the content piece, we're going to create using AI these three content videos. And that's incredible. When you see it, you're like, that looks like I shot that video. Like, it may not sound exactly like you, but like I saw one and I was like, if I didn't know that I didn't shoot the video, I would have thought I shot the video. Okay. And so, and the reason we're doing it, if you want to shoot the videos, you can. We would rather you do that. Yeah, done is better than perfect, right? Like, we want the follow-up sequence to have something that's connecting them to you so that we can get those replies down the road. And so that whole system is being built. So, all right, Randy. So, what did I leave out there in terms of the system?
I don't think you did. The thing that was impactful the most to me is you go, we're going to build a Ferrari for you. You're going to tell us you want leather steering wheel, leather seats, yellow Bendix brakes, whatever you want. You're going to tell us. We're going to build that Ferrari. We're going to test drive it for you to make sure it turns a 3 second lap. We're going to bring it to your house, open the door, and we're going to teach you how to drive it because you don't know how to drive it yet, right? We're going to take the
Yeah.
traction control off for the first week or two so you don't spin out and wreck it.
Right.
You're really setting these guardrails around it. And then all they have to do is put gas in it. And
Yeah.
they could fill it up and drive it across the country at 200 mile an hour, or they could take it around the block at the minimum of what Facebook needs, right? I
Right.
thought that was gold of how you explain that.
Yeah.
And,
Randy,
and honestly, I was a believer in Jay, but I didn't understand the
you,
system until I got into it. And I'm like, holy shit, if I could only brand it. And they're like, no, we do that for you. And I'm like, what do you mean? They go, yeah, come in at lunchtime. We're in here 5 days a week from noon to 1 Pacific. And you ask any question. I go in there and they build it and fix it for me then. They don't put me on a list. They don't pull a sandwich tag. I'm number 23. It's like live support, 5 days
having
a
help.
week. How much you spending on this system?
Yeah, so my team is probably up to about 125,000 a month that we spend on this. So,
Damn.
yeah, so I mean, listen, how dumb am I for not doing this sooner, though, right? So, like, I should have done this a long time ago, but the timing wasn't right. The reason I did it last year and we started testing this, well, not testing the idea because we knew the idea worked. We just testing whether we could do it at scale. So like, not everybody has this opportunity. I hand selected Randy. Okay, it's like there's only you guys are here only because of the leadership that Randy has displayed in my eyes from the outside, watching you guys over time. And so I personally looked for the people that I felt like had great organizations and great leaders. And I know that that's here. And I see that in the example that Courtney's leading this call today. It's leaders creating leaders because all of the reason that I'm doing this is to let's all get financially free leveraging this for agent attraction. And so, but Randy, you did something that I was super happy you did because this is my, I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to do it. And so my name and reputation is on the line. The last thing in the world that I want is for anybody to come through this process and be like, that didn't work for me. This doesn't work. That's BS. I just wouldn't do it. Like, I'd be like, yeah, I'll just help a few people and y'all can figure your shit out yourself. Like, and so in order to do this, and this is something Braden fought for big time. And he's my oldest son. He's wicked smart. And he said, no, we got to test them before we turn it on. And I said, man, dude, if you put up a wall that's a test, like, and make them take a test, we're going to lose people because they're not going to take the test. And it's a double-edged sword. If you don't train someone and make sure they're trained, then you got somebody out here driving a Ferrari that with traction control off, right?
Wrecking it, and everybody's
and and they're not going to get to the results, and then they're gonna say this didn't work, and that's what Braden knew. And so you came through the process and you brought it up. But I never talked about the fact that we had this test. I'd never put it out there publicly. But you were like, I love that because I bullshitted and didn't watch the whole video, and you made sure that I watched the video, and that's how a lot of us are that way. You're like, it's one short video, but it's like, this is the how not to crash the Ferrari video. You want to watch this for sure. And so those best practices, you have to be trained, right? And so like Mike Reese used to use this analogy. He's like, if we were disarming a bomb and me and you were in the same room, would you want me to be fully trained or partially trained? And he's like, well, I want you to be fully trained. So have you been fully trained on just how to use the tool? Not every feature of the tool, just how to use the tool for what we're trying to do right here.
How to get it around the track.
Exactly. That's it. So simple and straightforward and the best practices. And so that's super important. You pass a little test, then you get on another call and go over it. We answer any questions you have so that when we turn this machine on, you're good. Like you're not lost. You're not feeling like you don't know what you're supposed to do. Super important for any agent, whether you're existing, you've been doing it forever, you've been using the tool forever. There's best practices and things that you're going to pick up on that we do that you maybe never heard before. So all of that is critically important to the end goal here, guys, is if I don't get you selling more houses in revenue share, I don't make anything. So like my only goal and side note, the original reason I started doing this was back in the day, those of you who remember 40 FLQAs, me, Mike, and Al were all three partners. And if Mike dropped below 40, Al dropped below 40, or I dropped below 40, it was a $100,000 a month problem. And Mike and Al both dropped below 40. I already felt the pressure of getting 40 myself, but now I feel the pressure of like, I got to make sure these guys are all above 42, or it would cost me, my third was $100,000 a month. And so I said, I'm never going to have this problem again. And that's when I started, okay, well, what can I do to make sure I get somebody to close a deal as fast as possible and then close one every month? Like, what's the one thing that I could do that's in my control that I could do? And so we did this one off, but I couldn't do it at scale. And what AI allowed us to do is everything that we did, it just got 10x easier for us to do and 10x better than the way we were doing it. And so that makes sense, right? You think about AI and how it makes things more efficient and it makes things easier. Well, yeah. We just got lucky timing wise. And when we started testing this at kind of at scale, we're like, holy moly, this is way better than it was 2 weeks ago. And so yeah. we got really, and that's again, thanks to AI. And so AI is just helping us all win bigger, faster, and everything else. And so I just believe that you guys are going to be more successful if you have a team of people helping implement, not, share your screen, let me take over and do that for you, as opposed to watch this video.
And you guys have been great about that, Jay. I got a couple questions. We're nearing the top of the hour, so we got a couple fundamental things to do. But one of the big questions is, can I do this if I'm on a team? And then a team leader said, is this available for teams?
Yeah,
this seems like it'd be a supercharged thing. I wish I had this as a team back in the day. Right?
Yeah,
I was
100%.
spending thousands on Zillow and all these things and then trying to split it 50-50 with them. This is their lead. They don't split anything with you.
Yeah,
this
so
is strictly through the co-sponsorship relationship.
100%. Yeah, so if you've got a team and you want to, as a team leader, what I would say is you want to own this system, your content, your brand around it, and you put a team, someone on your team in that seat for maybe a territory. You might have multiple funnels. We can build multiple funnels for you. Or you might just have one funnel that we put more ad spend towards. But again, your cost per lead, this is significant. Like from a team leader perspective, if you're on a Zillow Flex and you're paying 41%, I'm talking about adding a significant amount of profitability to your business. Your agents are going to make more money, so they're going to be happier. And at scale, I can do it for as many agents as you want. And but that's going to be your system, and you're going to dole those out based upon whatever tools that you're using. And if you're not using Bold Trail or Zillow, teams are a higher level conversation. That's who I used to coach, and all that kind of stuff. So we can have that conversation.
So, question, Jay. So I put the link in for tomorrow's webinar. By the way, everybody could use my link. They're still going to be integrally in the organization, all in the right places, right? Jay does a webinar every Thursday at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. I put the link and you could register for it. Everybody on the call. We still have like everybody here. Like we started with 100, we're at 94 and people couldn't get in. We tried to make it bigger, but we missed it. But anyway, come into that as a next step. I would think that'd be a good next step, Jay.
100%.
Are you willing to stick around for a few questions and answers just in case? So Courtney, do this. Why don't you close up, Courtney, announce next week. So if people have to get going at the top of the hour, we'll respect it. And then we'll stick on here for a few more minutes and answer any questions if anybody has anything specific. Is that fair?
Yep, that sounds good. Okay, so that's a wrap. Other than those that want to stay on and ask Jay a few more questions. Next week, Michelle Roderick, aka the General, will be leading us, and she has Kim Frazier coming on, who the last I checked, I believe she was number 6 in all of EXP for top sales volume. She's a total beast, and she's going to be going over her farming system that she uses, and it's amazing. I've had her on another call before, so you won't want to miss that one. Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to continue to learn more about this system. I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of it. I don't know about everybody else. I think it sounded like everyone was really excited by what you're doing, and clearly you've had a lot of success.
Before everybody jumps off, because I know what's going to happen. Y'all are going to get on that call tomorrow, and you're going to be like, "Where do I get this for free?" Okay, so let me just be very transparent. Okay, so what's the catch? Okay, if you want this for free, meaning you don't pay us anything, my team anything. If I sell this to people outside of EXP, I sell it for $5,000 down and $1,500 a month, and I prefer not to sell it to them. So. And because I only want to do this with people that I have a relationship and I'm in alignment with. Mm-hmm. And so the opportunity here is if you recruit somebody, and you name me as co-sponsor, meaning I come over into your organization underneath you, then you get it and they get it for free forever. And anybody now, by the way, if you do that, that person is now on my front line and I'm going to help them build as big as I can, and I'm going to give it to every person in that downstream of that No cost, no, there's no upsells, there's no cross sells, there's no gotchas, there's no nothing. I am betting on our ability to go get an agent that we couldn't have got otherwise, and to help them find a friend and help them find a friend and help them find a friend. That's what I'm betting on. And so just know that is, how you get it for free is just go tell one person. You get one person, you can start today. Get one other person to get on this webinar. Right now, what we've experienced when we track this data point from how many people, not people that knew me, like not an email I sent to my list of people that know me. I'm talking like cold traffic to this webinar. We were converting north of 50%, meaning if you got two people on this call, one of them joined EXP, license transferred. So it is the best offer I have ever seen convert in my life. And every mentor I've ever had says it's impossible. If I was giving away money, I still would have a hard time getting to 50%. So the offer is really strong from an attraction standpoint. Again, hey, would you like to add 2 to 3 deals a month to your business? If you didn't have to pay, Zillow or a bunch of referral fees or an upfront fee or any of that kind of stuff, would you be open to it? Yeah, I'll get on that call. That's not an EXP conversation. So, people don't think about moving companies as the solution to their problem, because changing companies doesn't solve your problem. You're over here trying to figure it out. Now you're over there trying to figure it out. And so the approach that we use with this is super simple, super straightforward. You have your own link. You're going to be able to share it. You have to qualify. You'll get with Randy, and he will qualify you to have the opportunity to share this. And you'll have the opportunity. If once you bring someone over and I'm named as co-sponsor, you both get it access, and we build it out from there. So that is the reason I built it. And I learned a lesson the hard way. Is like, I haven't ever found anybody that says, no, I don't want this for free. So I have built 500 of these platforms for free to agents, and they never recruited anybody. And I was like, man, I got them busy out there selling houses, and nobody brought any agents. And so the process is, you got to attract someone. And I promise you this, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, guys. I'm trying to get you free from ever having to do another deal. That's what I'm trying to do. So don't miss that. It sounds really good because it is really good, but the real opportunity is leveraging this opportunity to go attract agents. Don't sleep on that, because we are in a window of time right now where we can do something that no one else can do, and no one else is going to have the guts to try to build and do it for free. And so, like, we've got 3 years where you could look up and be financially free and not ever have to lift a finger. You can do whatever you want with your time. You might go sell a house. You might not. I talked to a lady the other day, and she said, where would you like to be in 5 years? She's not at EXP. And so she's like, I'd like to be doing about half the number of deals I'm doing, and the other half I'd like to be coaching and helping agents, because she really liked helping people. And I said, that's not what I'm looking for. I said, imagine you have 50 million in the bank. What are you doing tomorrow? And she said, I'd be in Colorado. So quick. I mean, she knew exactly. I mean, it was crazy how quick she answered this. She's like, I'd be in Colorado, and I'd be hunting elk and knitting, like knitting at night. And I was like, hunting elk and knitting? And she was like a 67-year-old lady. I was like, that's the coolest thing anybody's ever said. I like that. That's great. I said, but that's your vision. That's what you want. That's what, if you didn't have to worry about money, that's what you would be doing with your time. And that's what I want you to think about, is if you look up a year from now and you're making $5,000, maybe $10,000 a month, and what would you do with your time? If you had 20,000, what would it be? That's the opportunity that's sitting right in front of you. We're basically giving away the farm to get people to come join us at this point, and it's not hard to do. If you're going to ask somebody about EXP, you get 9 out of 10 people that say, I'm not interested. If you ask people if they'd like to add 2 to 3 deals a month to their business, they're all going to say yes. And if they get on this call, there's a really good chance that we're going to get them. And it's a process and a system we built the same as we did for the agent production side. And so that's the opportunity. I just didn't want anybody to get on there and be like, hey, man, I thought all this was free, man. Y'all didn't tell me. Right. So
I appreciate that. And I meant to lead with that, but thank you for bringing it up.
Yep.
Wanell, you have a question, I see. And then
yes, I have. Hold on 1 second. Let me get up.
And I was gonna have them type in the chat so we don't have feedback and all that, Courtney.
Right.
Just type the questions in. But if you could ask your question real quick, it'd be good.
Okay, so I have a question. So I have an idea, since you said it was free. I want to see if there's negotiating room for this, Jay, because I know you said that anybody that you attract, or you help us recruit. But what if I'm trying to recruit brokerages, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to just recruit agents. Agents, I feel like I can get. So
All you
if
need
I
is one.
get, let me tell my story. I got an idea.
I
Okay.
got
Can you
you.
make it short? Because we got a lot of people here. That's why I wanted to do it in the
Well,
text. I'm sorry.
can I schedule a meeting
Yeah,
with you, Jay?
Yeah, we
yeah,
could
Um,
yeah.
do that.
Jump.
okay.
You can go to number 3waycall.com and schedule a call with me.
Roger that. All
This
right.
works better. Let me give the answer to her question real quick. So if you want to recruit a brokerage, let me tell you what their biggest problems are. The brokerage's biggest problems are agent retention, agent attrition, agent recruiting, profitability, and agent productivity. That's it. It's those four things that keep them up at night. So imagine this: you have a brokerage, instead of saying we're talking about EXP, if they had this offer, me delivering on it, my team delivering on this as a way to attract agents. It's going to help them attract agents to their brokerage. It's going to help them monetize. So agent productivity goes up. It's going to help with attrition of agents. I solve this same offer is better for brokerages than anybody because I'm not monetizing it. If I was, I would be like, give me 25% referral on every deal y'all do. Right. I don't do that, but the broker can. The broker can be like, hey, because I moved to EXP, I've got this now, and they can create a revenue stream off of the leads that I provide for their entire company. And so that's a high level conversation. You want to put them on a call, but get on a call with me and I'll talk you through it. But that brokers are way in on this because it's a huge opportunity that would otherwise cost them a lot of money.
Right. Okay. All right.
Good.
Well,
good
thank you so much.
question.
Yep.
All right.
Appreciate the question.
I had a couple questions. If I bring somebody to the webinar, do I get this for free? The answer is no. They have to join and co-sponsor with Jay to get aligned with the Honey Badgers. You'd still be part of the Now Nation, but then both people would get it for free. That's accurate. Does it include any CRM? Yes. You guys work within Bold Trails and in Lofty. Do you work in Close for your system?
Close doesn't have the functionality.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So Close is not currently available, but either Bold Trails, which they recommend, and by the way, they have negotiated a price to where you can get into their Bold Trails and their Lofty and get the AI and stuff cheaper than if you did it on your own because of their power. So yes, can we get help here in Colorado? Yes, it works anywhere. Right?
There's never been a market we've got into it doesn't, and that fundamentally,
Canada, Jay, Canada,
it does work in Canada. There's some parts of Canada that are a little tougher than others, but it still works. At the end of the day, that people are moving for reasons. It doesn't matter what market you're in; they're moving for reasons, and they have hopes, fears, concerns, and desires about making that move. As long as that exists in your marketplace, then we'll be able to figure it out. And again. This is AI, using AI. We're not, just dependent on our own brain power to do that.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for putting that threewaycall.com. I think you just opened up a can of worms, but good for you.
Hey, jump in there. Somebody's going to grab that time. Might as well be you.
I love the fact that you're that way because I'm, sometimes I give out my Zoom and then I'm like, why did I do that? But you've just always been that way. And I've seen you just pour into people that are there. Man.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, the truth is most people don't take advantage of it. And so, I don't like being bored and sitting around all day. So somebody might as well jump on and, let's talk about what are you trying to do? Let me see how I can help. I genuinely, I hope as you guys get to know me, like I genuinely just like helping people. Like I've done a lot that was hard and went through it. And so like, if I can help somebody, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing something with my life. And so I genuinely just want to figure out like, what are you trying to do and how can I help you?
I love that. A couple more questions. What if I bring another EXP broker to the meeting to introduce them to the process? Yes, you could bring them to the webinar. They would be have to align with Jay Kinder on the co-sponsor side. So you couldn't partner with them and have them already in EXP. Clearly there has to be a new recruit entered into the slot, into the position. Are the webinars every Thursday? Yes, we don't tell everybody that because we don't want them to think they have 10 options. We say they may not have another one for the next 2 or 3 weeks. You want to get on this week. By the way, they've had over 400 on most of these webinars every single week. Which is best CRM? I say Bold Trails, I say Lofty in that order. And then somebody asked about Go High Level. Once you bring on 5 recruits into the system, you become from an apprentice as an EXP agent to a builder. Apprentice is only for EXP, right? That means they're trying to find a way to get the system for free. Agent attraction, the agent joining EXP would get it for free. But the Go High Level system would be provided for you later if you become a builder. So you brought 5 people on. Now you want your own system. You want your own apprentices to come in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right now,
that's
handling
probably going to be a lot for them to digest too. But like so like if you use Go High Level in your business, most real estate agents, if I tried to onboard them into Go High Level, it would be a crash and burn sequence. Like getting onboarded to Go High Level for 1,000 agents, we're going to have 900 of them that never get to the end zone. And so we're using the tools that EXP is going to be giving you a choice to use
100%,
anyway,
and they're free.
And so Bold Trail is what I find to be we see the most success in Bold Trail. Not far behind that would be Lofty. There's an expense with Lofty. You got to pay additional for the AI. You'll pay
$100 a month.
Yeah, you'll pay 50 because you're going to be on our platform. If you have one already, I don't know how that works, but you'll have to pay for that.
Switching over because I have my own team platform. I have all that, but I'd save money with you.
Yeah, we don't make $1 on it. Like I just pass that on just so you have the necessary tools that we use to get us to that 30%.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're putting your money where your mouth is because this is very expensive. And this is a ballsy move, man. Ballsy move.
Yeah, it scared me for sure, but I knew I could help people.
We got you, baby. We got you.
We're already winning.
I'm going to double my organization in this partnership, and that means that I'm helping people grow within the organization and helping them grow.
Dude, you do the same as me, man. You have the same heart as me. You pour into your people, and this is just an opportunity to now we can give them some leverage. Yeah. And just like logging on and someone taking over and solving your Facebook problem. We ran into all these types of problems so many times, and you don't have anybody to go to. Like, who do you go to for that? Like, I don't even know who I would have gone to. Maybe ChatGPT and try to figure it out myself. But that's totally just having people you can go to every day to help you is it's like having a world-class team that you don't have to pay a team split to. Totally.
Well, one or two more questions. I want to respect your time. Will it work with Go High Level? Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss.
So we would have to
integrate
So yes, can we do that? Yeah, easy. We can have the leads go into your any tool really for that matter. The big question would be is how world class are you with the system as far as your conversion to appointments? Are you world class or are you just using what's out of the box? And it, I would tell you if you had a team or if you're like really deep into it and using it, you shouldn't probably change CRMs. But there's a threat here that, hey man, when we use what we do, we know it works. When you use what you do, I don't know if it's going to work. And you might not have the same experience. So, use it at your own risk, but we can work with anything.
As a coach, I would tell them to use your system, being Follow Up Boss, but Bold Trails or whatever, and then have them use an outside API to get to their Follow Up Boss if they wanted to have that double dipping. But what I didn't know you guys did is you set up market reports, you set up buyer alerts, you set everything up. I didn't ask for that, didn't even know it was happening.
Yep.
Those are all this conversations going on, and I'm like, you guys did literally everything.
Yeah. All the little nuanced things that we see that make a difference, we're going to build it to do all those things. And not every tool has all of that.
Dude, I love it. Jay, you're a beast, man. I love you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You're leading from the front. It means a lot. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys. I'm looking forward to crushing it with you guys.
Dude, we had 100 people on here and we blew up the room. We built it for 300. It didn't work yesterday when we knew we were going to get over 100. Yep. And so there's people that couldn't get in. We recorded it. They'll be able to listen to it again. But we still have over 50, 60 people here waiting to what's going on, right? So that's exciting. If you're interested, you could reach out to me, reach out to one of your leaders, whatever. This is a group organizational Now Nation, baby. You're part of the Now Nation. So we're going to make sure you get in. There's no weird alignment. You don't have to worry about signing up with me or signing up with Courtney. Everybody's getting the same treatment. We're all going to be under Jay and all be part of the Honey Badger Nation. So there's no alignment, weird things going on. Yeah. It's in your integrity of your normal 7-level organization.
Yep. Super important.
I love it. So that link that I put in the chat is for tomorrow's live webinar. Every Thursday, that's my personal link, realtyexplained.live. You could use that one for now. Once you become an apprentice, you'll get your own link, and that's how you get into the system in the future. Yep. All you have to do is reach out, say, Randy, I want to be an apprentice, and you're in. There's no application process, small credit card transaction fee of $10,000. Just kidding. Right. But the bottom line is we want to help you guys win. So thank you for being here, Jay. Thanks again. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys.
We'll see you at the top, baby.
Yeah, you know it, baby. All right.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yep.
Okay.
See you, Matthew.
Thank
See you.
you.
See you, Courtney.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week for the next call. But thank you for being here, everybody that stuck around to the end. I know who's serious about this and who's curious. The curious ones got off, and the serious ones are here burning the midnight oil. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you all soon.